11 days, that's what it has taken for Australia to retain the Ashes. But it wasn't as one sided as we had expected it to be because on the final day, England put up a brave, brave fight. Let's make no mistake about it. They needed 228 runs more to win. They got it down to under 100, but unfortunately, the target was way too much, 435. It's never been chased before in Australia. And that is why Australia 3 zip have managed to win this test match, take a 3-0 lead, and the Ashes stays with Australia for 2 more years. 2027 is when they'll be fighting for it all over again. But this intent, this fight, where was it for 10 days? Why did they have to show it at the very last moment? I'm joined by Shane Dias here. And Shane, once again, classic. Too little, too late from England.
I only have one thing to say right now, and I really have to start off my entire diatribe with this. Bazball is dead. Long live Bazball.
Yes.
It's done.
We
I
can
think it's
take a
done.
minute's silence to acknowledge that, yes, McCullum, Stokes, your baseball experiment was good in patches, but now buried under the Adelaide Oval, rest in peace.
And the Ashes this time will not be taken back to England. I think Australia are going to keep it in Australia and deservedly so. I mean, look, let's be fair. When it comes to this, we always say Ashes series are career enders, right?
Yeah.
I don't know personally how it is that the careers, at least the captaincy career of a Ben Stokes survives this. I don't know how it is that the coaching career of Brendan McCullum survives this. Your entire purpose of baseball was to actually start competing and beating the bigger sides. Yet, you've had two Ashes, one at home where you drew the series to all, and now this where you are potentially, let's be fair, still you're not out of the woods, you're staring at a whitewash. You've not been able to succeed against Australia. You had a series versus India in India where you got beaten, hammered pillar to post 4-1. And then when you took them on at home, you drew 2-2. So when you're looking at their results against the bigger nations, and we know in cricket it's always the big three, the results just don't speak for themselves. You have one drawn series and or two drawn series and one lost series. So, and now in fact, sorry, but two drawn series and two lost series. How does that work? It just doesn't. It cannot possibly be seen as an acceptable result. If you had beaten India at home, you could have still pointed out and said, okay, some sort of a salvation. Had you beaten Australia at home, you would have still said, okay, there is hope. But you didn't. And the fact of the matter is, every time it's come down to the baseball approach. I will also say, by the way, that throughout the series, I have not seen much of Stokes, the captain, or Stokes, the batter. I think the pressure's finally gotten to him. I don't blame him for it. But I also do think that I think there needs to be a change there. I'm not saying retire him. He's pretty much only a one format player at this point. But I think you need to take the captaincy burden off him. I think then maybe you can see him have the kind of a resurgence the way Joe Root did. We know the captaincy burden in Test cricket can weigh heavy on English players. We saw it happen with Root. Root became popular for not converting his 50s to hundreds when he was scoring everywhere else. Why? Because of the captaincy pressures. You take the captaincy pressures off him, see how he's flourished. I think Stokes needs the same thing. But talking about this match, I think I agree. I was very pleasantly surprised to see the way they dug in. Because honestly, I was expecting to be having a discussion on this much earlier than now, if I'm being quite frank with you. I think I was expecting it to happen at around 7 o'clock Indian Standard Time. And I'm like, what, 3, 4 wickets they needed? It's not going to be much. They put up a good fight. The lower order, in fact, I dare say, has at times shown the top order how it is to bat. Because again, you see, look at some of these numbers. Will Jacks, the much criticized Will Jacks, steps up with a very hard fought 47. Jamie Smith with a nice counter attacking 60 of 83. Then you've got Bryden Cast, who actually hung around really nicely. So, this kind of intent, if the top order had shown, or not intent, I dare say, I think the top order showed plenty of intent. They didn't show application, aside from a Zach Crawley, who, by the way, has probably been the one person whose career we thought would be done after this series, but it's not. He's somehow gotten himself a long sort of a rope because he's been the most impressive batter, I would say, in terms of a consistency basis. But yeah, Ashes done and dusted. There's still two tests. There's still stuff to play for. You can still avoid if you make it 3-2, at least on paper, it doesn't seem bad. Sure, it will then ignore the fact that you lost the Ashes in three tests, but 3-2 is still much better to read. Do I see this England team do that? Probably not.
I mean, if I have to look at the one word that you used in this entire thing, application. Harry Brook, please have a look at this. Even Jamie Smith, please have a look at this. Harry Brook will be haunted by the fact that why did he have to play that reverse sweep? Why? I understand that you want to have a bit of a thing. Okay, you want to dictate the terms to the opposition. But Bazball kind of dilutes all of that. It says that no, attack, 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 attack. No, you have to take a step back. Sensible, with brains. Harry Brook, I'm sorry. If you had shown the application what a Will Jacks and a Jamie Smith did today, you very well could have been within a chance of creating history. But I will also blame Jamie Smith. I'll tell you why. That over that Mitchell Starc bowled. Two
Hmm.
boundaries. You've done your job, my friend. You've done your job. You put the opposition under pressure. It's not as if you need 90 in 10 overs. You need 90 runs in 57 or 60 overs. And you don't have a flight to catch back home. Or you don't have to catch a flight to Melbourne today.
Or you don't
Two,
have to
bound-
catch a shit.
two boundaries. What was the need for that shot? Jamie Smith had done all the hard work. Gone. He just threw it away. And then Will Jackson cars, they showed the application. You could frustrate them, milk the singles, take when the ball is in the slot. Stokes undone by the ball of the match for me from Nathan Lyon. Okay, you can't do anything about it. Two pearlers to Ben Stokes in this particular match. You needed
Yeah.
something with that caliber, that man's caliber in that sense. Duckett again poking outside of Ollie Pope. If you say that career enders in the Ashes are a common theme for England, two names. I mean, one name is definitely on the chopping block.
Ollie Pope.
Ollie Pope. I think his career is now, when you look at it, because of the Ashes, the way his dismissals have been, the form has been not there. It's done for him. I think.
No, I think I remember reading an article from a pretty reputed website, cricketing website, whereby Ollie Pope was described as a veteran making errors of a rookie. And
Yes.
I don't think that sums up Ollie Pope better because you would think that he should be one of the senior anchors of this team, yet his own spot is constantly under scrutiny because he'll just make rookie mistakes. And I mean, it's not like he's a bad batter. He's shown that when he's on form, when it clicks for him, there's a very good test batter there. The problem is it's just never clicked enough. And you can't keep justifying it, especially when you have seen the thing with England is they can there's not that much of a dearth of talent as we think there is. They could send a Johnny Bairstow and Josh Butler into test retirement pretty much because they knew they had a Jamie Smith in the wings. They overlooked what was that guy's name? I'm forgetting that their stumper, yeah.
Ben Stokes.
Folks, Ben Folks. Yeah. Ben Folks was overlooked because they believed that Smith could do the job with the gloves as well as with the bat. By and large, I would say he's at least shown enough signs that he can. You've got a Jacob Bettel on the bench. How is it that you are going to consistently justify not having a Bettel in the side? And by the way, one of the reasons I remember it was even during the India series, there was a lot of speculation prior to the India series that Bettel would be played in place of Pope. And I remember Stokes had to come out and say, no, he's our vice captain. He's going to be the one starting. But that speculation existed for a reason. Pope hasn't done. The last noteworthy test knock I remember him playing was that 190 against India and Hyderabad. Nothing
And
beyond
also
that.
against Zimbabwe. Yeah.
Against
Against
Zimbabwe. Great.
Zimbabwe
We
also.
criticized Babar for it. Good.
That is the problem. And see, Ollie Pope, his, and even I'm very surprised with the loss of form of Ben Duckett. I mean, Duckett
Yeah.
used to set the stage. Against India, he was the guy who used to keep them on the toes every single time with some counter-attacking knocks. He's got an IPL contract also. But his loss of form in this Ashes has played a huge role. And
And it's come at
remarkably,
the worst time, right? It's come at the worst
yeah,
time. He was
yes.
there one. If you're talking about the two Bazball openers, it was Crawley and Duckett. Duckett was the one you would count on to at least get you a start 9 times out of 10. Whatever runs Crawley was getting more often than not for bonuses. It's been the other way around. At this point
It
in
is.
time, you're worried about what Duckett is doing, but Crawley has shown application. What is happening here?
But if I may put one more name in the chopping block, okay, I know it might be slightly left field. Do you think after this, Joe Root is probably done? Because see,
No,
he
I
got
don't
that
think so.
100, but
Yeah,
if he's not won the Ashes, I mean, remember in his entire tenure, whenever he started playing, he's actually won the Ashes only once or twice, only twice in his
correct,
career. 13 in England,
correct.
15 in England. But he's never done it in Australia.
No, I
After
get
that,
your point, Siddharth. I get your point. You're absolutely right. I think when you're looking at his numbers in Australia, very underwhelming. You know the problem though with actually phasing out a route now, you don't have his replacement. You
it's a huge haul
absolutely
of
do not have
13,000
his
runs.
replacement.
Yeah.
You cannot. If you do it, then you have no time to prep a replacement. Then you it also basically means because again, I think if you have to end careers, it's going to be a choice between Pope and Root. And I know what choice I'm making in that case. It's
Pope.
Pope Ice Blue. That's the
Yeah.
thing. If Pope was in decent nick, if he had shown some runs, then you could have perhaps raised questions because we know Root isn't getting any younger. The thing is, and with Root, he's had consistent failures. I agree. There's no denying the fact that he's had an underwhelming series aside from that 100 which he got in Brisbane. But I can't see this England team surviving without Root in the at least in the short term, because I don't think they have his replacement. I do think maybe they'll have a word with him saying, listen, boss, you need to up your form a little bit. Because again, I think with England is they play a lot of test matches at home. So I think he'll be okay there. But I can't. I see your point. I understand where it is you're coming from, but I don't think you can ask him to go now. No, no.
Yeah, but then now it's my time to give a rather obituary, if I may say, to Bazball. I mean, I had said
Go
yesterday
right
also
ahead.
that obituaries were going to be written, and today it is the time for Bazball's obituary.
Yeah.
Dear Bazball, you came in like the wind, you created a bit of a storm, but when it came to tough situations, you unfortunately floundered. You couldn't beat India both home and away. You couldn't beat Australia home and away. Two strong teams, and your baseball just wilted away. You destroyed your own conditions. You alienated your bowlers. You forced the legend into retirement because he himself said these deliveries, these pitches were his kryptonite. Gone are those days of seam, swing, green pitches, cloudy conditions. Thank you, Bazball, for giving us shirt fronts. Thank you so much for ensuring England cricket has lost its character. Thank you, Bazball, for ensuring that you have absolutely decimated the novelty of English cricket. You will not be missed. Your ashes will be cremated in Adelaide, and until it turns to dust, you will not make a comeback. Thank you, Bazball, for your services from 2022 June to December 21, 2025. This was your entire lifespan. For me now, this is the problem. You prepared for 3 years. You changed your entire culture. You changed your entire conditions. You said we have to play like this, play like this, play like this. For this, for the Ashes in Australia. The 3 year experiment has failed miserably. You're what you were in 2017, you are what you are in 2013, you are what you are in 2021. You still can't win a test match in Australia. And out of 18 tests, you've lost 16 now. You barely hung on in Sydney in 2021. You just about hung on in Melbourne because the pitch was absolutely bad. But now, Melbourne and Sydney boys, 5-0 loading. And again, major questions on Stokes and Baz's future. I would make one comment, then you can come in, Shane.
Hmm.
Stokes, for me, I think he might escape the Inquisition because who else is your captain? There is a Jamie Smith, there is Some who is your captain if you remove a Stokes? Brook
Brook,
is
but I think Brook, but again, the case with Brook is that he himself hasn't done much to justify being named captain. His form has been also hit and miss. So Brook is the obvious next in waiting. But I think at this point he's England Shubman Gill.
vice captains. I mean, Ollie Pope is your vice captain, right? Vice captains and cricket. It's been a bad month for them. Ask Shubman Gill,
Mm.
ask Ollie Pope. But for me, McCullum remains your white ball coach, but he goes as your red ball coach. You can't have McCullum continue after two. This was your two major fighter series in this WTC cycle for England. You have in India 2-2, that too by the barrister margins you hung on. Had India used their brains properly in Lords, you could have very well made it 3-1. That is the thing with the Indian cricket team. India could have won that series 3-1. So it was so infuriating to have a 2-2 series result against this England team. But with this Ashes loss, and you're potentially staring at final, McCullum goes, my friend. And Shane, I think this might happen. If it's a final, multiple
Yeah.
careers will go away. But see, what happened in 2013? Peterson
Mm.
went, Flower went, and Peterson also. He was prolific even at that time. But he had to go.
Yeah.
If it's final, four careers might end. If it's final. Root,
True.
Pope, Stokes, McCullum. These are the
Yeah.
four. I don't know a fifth. It could be, I don't know, one of the bowlers. Maybe a Gus Atkinson. Could be. And
True.
look at the foolhardiness of this team. On this wicket, you preferred Jacks because of his batting, but you didn't get a specialist bowler than Shoaib Bashir. And Nathan Lyon took 3 wickets in the second innings here. Imagine. Bashir was your best bowler even in India, but no, we prefer Jacks. And Jacks was tonked. And that made the difference in the final chase that had to be there. So,
Look, I don't know about multiple careers ending because again, I'll not make jump to that conclusion yet, simply because we don't quite know how the series will play out. I think even a 4-1 means you may see that not happen. That being said, if there is one person I would definitely ask to go, it would be Mr. Charlatan himself, Baz Brendan McCullum. Sorry, I have seen enough. People have always talked about Brendan McCullum being this cricketing revolutionary, but his airy fairy talks only go this far. And I have seen this again. I can tell you this for a fact. I have seen this character of team in KKR as well when he was the head coach. Airy fairy talk about being aggressive and everyone playing a certain way, and you have to take the bull by the horns, and you've got to put your stamp your intent out there. All good on paper. Cricket matches are won on paper. And the problem with having that sort of an approach, that one note approach, is that teams will find a way to get you. They'll know that you're going to go for an attacking shot and that you're going to go. I'll give you the best example of Bazball as it is undermining KKR. 2021 IPL final.
yes.
You had that win on an absolute platter. You just needed to go and play conventional cricket. Why didn't you play conventional cricket? Oh, because Baz is the head coach. And, oh, we've got to absolutely play aggressive cricket, mate. Oh, no, no, it doesn't work. If his format of cricket doesn't work in white ball, then it is sure as hell not going to work in red ball. I'm sorry. In fact, people always talk about, and Siddharth, you would know this, you'd remember this better than anyone. New Zealand's run to the 2015 World Cup final.
Oh,
It was
yes.
all about, it was always termed as, Baz's aggressiveness and him being able to take it on. What happened when he tried to take it on in the final? Well, what happened?
Three ball
Stumps
duck.
uprooted by Mitchell Starc. What happened? Because that is what happens in big games. You have to play it when you're playing big matches, when you're playing big teams, you're playing the occasion as much as you are playing strategy. You are playing the situation as much as you are your ideology. But the problem with this team is they're only playing their ideology. They think the other team is whipping boys. So they've come here, they'll lose to us, and oh, we are the best and we are redefining Test cricket. And this we problem, it
Yeah.
comes from Baz. I'm telling you, I have seen teams transform once Baz ends up leaving. I'll again give you the same KKR example. 2023, when Chandu Pandit came in, there were signs that the team was playing more sensibly. 2024, what happens? They end up winning the IPL. My point being that with Baz there, they become so one note. Teams become so one note that it is impossible for them to be successful. And I think if I'm Baz, I myself go back and retool this ideology of mine. They tried, but the problem is they've gone they're in too deep when it comes to this whole issue of we have to be aggressive and we have to take it by the scruff of their neck. And I think that approach needs to go. But for that to happen, Baz needs to go.
Yes, I mean, Chennai Super Kings were very lucky in that 2021 final. I do agree with that. KKR needed to play convention, and Mitchell Starc showing that 10 years ago, he was a visionary. And talking about, before we come to the comments, a quick word on the Aussies, man. Captain
Yeah.
Clark Kent does it again. Mitchell Starc, clutch player all over again. He took 3 wickets today. We thought he's not having much of an impact. Does Starc a condition specific bowler? What condition specific bowler? He comes up with 3 crunch wickets today. And Scott Boland, I think for me, the player who made all of a difference today because he kept the pressure at one end. It was Scotty Boland. Scott Boland carries standing up to the stumps, no problem. Carries behind the stumps, no problem. Hits that length, hits that length, hits that length. That is why Hazelwood's not missed. On this wicket, Hazelwood would have been deadly. But luckily, Scott Boland stepped up and boy, oh boy, it's truly remarkable in more ways than one when you look at it. So, all right, so that's the thing. Australia are going to be really in that. I'll take a couple of comments at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, Wait, let me just see. Okay, okay. Anush is saying in even weakest England teams, the 1990s and early 2000s won 3 Test matches in Australia. Adelaide 1995, Melbourne 1998, Sydney 2003 was my C Australian team, but no Test win in Oz in 15 years. I mean, I agree. Although in Melbourne 1998 they won by the barest of margins, 12 runs. Let's make it very clear at this point, Danush. But yes, at least they
Yeah.
used to win. At least. 11 was the last great England team. I mean, that was the golden period
True.
of England cricket. You won the Ashes after 24 years. You won in India after 28 years. Where is our Alistair Cook? That is what England will be saying because convention,
Exactly. Yeah.
Cook. And Indian supporter is saying, so we forget about winning Ashes in Oz by root. Poor guy has not won a test match in Oz and he has played 18 matches now. 16 losses, 2
Oh
draws.
dear
Yes,
God. That is a
yes.
horrendous record.
Root has never won a test in Australia. Imagine. That is the level when you look at it. Then freaking awesome with the stats. This is the fourth highest fourth innings total in Adelaide for a losing cause. India's 445 in 1970 remains the highest fourth innings total in Adelaide. 315 remains the highest recorded chase. Hmm. Could be. They are chasing 364 at this point. So, Sarat Chandra saying, okay, Anshu Mishra, Shane sir, Steve Smith 200 loading in MCG, only way England can win even one test this Ashes were bringing back Tim Payne as captain. What a worst
Hmm.
result. Otherwise, Australia 3-1 in England 2019. But
Could have been.
still, even with Tim Payne, you managed to draw the series 2-2. That was a
Hmm.
peak England side. 2019 World Cup winners. And you could only do a 2-2. That was the
Exactly.
downfall when you look at it. And Priyanshu saying, last couple of comments. Australia allowed Root to score 100 just to save their own Hayden. Do you guys see any Aussie big boy except Khwaja retiring at Sydney? Also, Australia beat us badly in BGT 2027. See, I'm not going to comment on the BGT much. We don't know the
That's a
conditions.
long way off.
Yeah. But Khwaja retiring at Sydney.
Yeah,
Hmm,
could
he,
happen.
he saved his career though with this 82 in
Yeah, but
100.
I think he'd rather walk away than be pushed away, if you ask me.
Yeah. Correct, correct. And that's the last comment we'll take of Sarat Chandra. England hate, watch, successful. All wickets today were a poor shots and excellent catches. England who got to play correct way of cricket on last 2 days of the series. I mean, come on.
Correct.
Archer's aggression happened 4 days too late against Steve Smith. Where was that on the first innings? Here you played conventional cricket, but it was 4 days too late. What is the net result? 11 days, Ashes gone, Bazball RIP, And Tata, bye bye, see you to McCullum potentially at this point in time. So, yes, it's the Ashes is over. You only have the Boxing Day Test match of 2025 to look forward to now. On the other hand, the Indian summer is about to end today with India versus Pakistan in the Asia Cup Under 19 final. So, thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis. And once again, congratulations to the Aussies. England, commiserations, but you need change, my friend. Bye bye. See you soon.